I'm gonna keep it mostly muted, but this is my in-progress painting that we're gonna be adding. Holy moly. Titanium white too today. find the YouTube of white, but not the one I was actively using. How strange. Alright, we're just going to use the titanium white that I just bought for now, because I am too impatient to find where I put the other sheet that I had. Hopefully everyone's days are going well. I know that I am positively exhausted, and I'm only on week 2 of uni work, which is a little bit foreboding because there's 10 more weeks left. Wow, that smells crazy. Okay. Alright. Okay. I absolutely do have a reference from it for this, if anyone is wondering. Just currently, I'm not really using it because I'm on the final stages of this. I should use my tiny teeny brushes probably, but I'm not right now doing that. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Okay. I took this photo at the top. Is that right? I've been there once. I won't lie to you. I've been there once, and that's fine. It was perfectly fine there, but it truly... I do need to use my camera reference. It was just truly so loud, and I'm such a homebody that there really wasn't... It didn't make sense for me to be there. This is my reference, if you're wondering. I might need to move you slightly so you can actually see me. Painting. Okay, I'll put you precarious, which is most of what I do, but that's okay. Here, I'm gonna... alright. That seems better. Yeah, okay, I think that's slightly better. Yes, alright. You guys will just have to let me know if you can't actually see what I'm doing, because that's the point of the stream, but that's okay. I'm gonna start by mixing this in with the linseed oil because I don't really want to keep using the solvent because it smells terrible. And I don't have much of it left. I've been thinking about going to get some Gansol. Like, I know that I need to. I'm actually quite happy with that one. But I've been lazy. Well, I have had a lot on, but I've been a little lazy. I'll do is I'll pull up Twitch on here as well so I can actually see any comments that I might miss. Using oil like this is so good because it makes such strong lines, but it just dries so slowly. I'm gonna have to use my actual physical references now so that I can see the chat. Seems like I might be the only viewer though, which is okay. If you are in chat and you can hear me, please add a little comment. Talk to me and then I can see that you're here. Ah, here we go. Here's the reference that I need. Let's rip this one out because we're lazy today. Oh, shouldn't have done that. That's okay. Usually I definitely wouldn't use terribly printed references like these. But because of the fact that I'm just focusing on the reflections of a light today, and then I'm gonna be pretty much done with this painting, I'm not super worried about kind of the colours of things, because it truly, like I truly am going in with just white, and I know that I shouldn't be going in with just white, like that's okay, you don't have to tell me, I understand that, but it makes it a lot easier. I think that this is where I was going wrong with a lot of things, is I was finding myself trying to create all of these really thin lines and things with the wrong paint colours. And since I was trying to do it all backwards, what happened is I ended up making these really opaque things in between where I didn't really want that to be. So honestly, getting a different shade of white has changed my entire world. Sorry for any background noise you might be hearing. If you are in chat, feel free to say hi. I'm happy to talk to anyone who just wants some company, but if you're studying or if you're doing work, you're more than welcome to just sit. I think my favourite thing about painting is definitely, at least recently when I've been studying light, being able to capture all of these really intricate details, like that other people don't see, and then kind of turn them into art so others can experience it like I see it in, I guess, the real world, where I'm taking the photos that I use as my references. I definitely want to get to a point where I can be like some of my favourite artists and Photoshop together a bunch of different things and use that as a reference. But until I get to that point, I'm currently studying light at the moment. I'm happy to just kind of sit with it and learn about these basics in oil painting that I kind of didn't have a chance to get into my head when I first started. Really happy with how these details are coming out, actually. think it's a lot easier to kind of be frustrated with the way things are coming out because of the fact that I'm not very experienced in painting. I want to create all of these like hyper realistic things, but it becomes very hard to create that when you haven't kind of given yourself the space artistically to do anything littler. I think the best part about any art really is showing it to someone that you care about and getting to see their response when they're impressed, but also getting to kind of show someone else the perspective of like how you see the world, where you get to perceive things and little parts of it that others might not notice. I think this tiny candle in the top that was there for just atmosphere and really had no impact with all of the red lights around it really wasn't noticed by other people, but I think painting it and getting to work with all of these interesting and intricate colours has been just so much fun, honestly. Maybe the hardest part about doing this is kind of the waiting in between things. It's really hard to I obviously, I mean, I'm, as much as I'm talking, anyone could probably pick it up, but I struggle with being patient. It's really, really hard to kind of stop and realize that I am going to have to wait a couple weeks to put this layer of white on. So when I had some things getting busier and I just didn't touch it, it gave me a really good chance to actually get that display that I wanted on everything. And now that I'm putting in this white, the opaque makes it really easy to put the scratches in as I want. If you're listening to anything outside, you're probably hearing my dad's truck, which he loves to just kind of sit in and let idle and let the engine still go, even though it'll turn off if he needs it to while he does his work calls. Which, good for him, you know, he's being efficient, he's doing it before he gets in the house, but holy moly is it loud. I need to hide my view account. There we go. Okay. I'll just close this window for you guys. Oh, it's too hard to do with one hand. And you might be asking, why am I doing it with one hand? It's because I'm holding a paintbrush that I refused to put down because I was being lazy. I think the thing about this reference image that I keep getting caught in, honestly, with all of the paintings that I do, is that I will continuously find myself trying to make it as accurate as possible. That's something I struggle a lot with a lot of my paintings, is that when I try to make them as accurate as possible, I lose the stylization that a lot of artists are really loved for. So I think part of this process after I work out how to do this light thing is going to be working out how to kind of stop before it's perfect, how to really stylize things. I'm trying to do that a bit more with the scratches here. Like, I could be real perfect about their placement and definitely could be doing this for way longer and add way more detail than maybe sufficient. So I think I'm going to try and work on that a little bit, try not to do that as much. Though doing this with the oil is way easier than the solvent, because it just kind of clicks together. Thank you so much. It's been a long time practicing, and I have a habit of, if not getting adequately good enough at something as fast as I'd like to, I'll just kind of quit it. So it means that that's why I'm not ever been interested in music, even though music is such an incredible art form and I have so many close friends who are so talented. But I'm never going to be able to reach that point because I don't have the patience for it. Has everyone's day's been going okay? 1 second. Sorry, hello. My dad just came home from work, like I said, and so he had to come say hi because he's amazing and wonderful, and part of the reason that I am able to have all of these hi Jack art pieces. Jack is also one of the reasons that I'm able to fund all of this art. He's provided me with a lot of my paint, and for that I will be forever grateful. I'm struggling with these scratches, and I think it's because I have ignored the very important art instruction not to use white directly on the painting, and as I'm looking at my reference, there is definitely the smidgen of yellow in all of these scratches. So what I'm going to do is break another painting rule and mix yellow into the artwork while I'm painting it, which is going to be an issue, but I've already lost the lid. Okay. I think it should work great. And if it doesn't, honestly, there's not much I can do about it. Holy moly, it's working. And look, from the stream, you're not going to be able to see the difference. And that's okay, it's not your guys' fault. It's the fact that I have the camera so far away. But up close, I promise you you can see a difference. I started streaming because I put a bunch of makeup on my face and I was like, I don't want no one to see this today. And then I realised that I'd be facing away from the camera the entire time, which is fine. But now I'm here, I'm thinking about the fact that because I did it this way, I never put it on my story or anything that I was streaming. So I probably should have done that, but that's okay. This is just going to be a cozy, very little stream, and I don't need anything to be different about that. Yeah, this yellow, it is, what colour is it? It is yellow ochre. I got this in my first painting kit when I got oil paint for my year 12 projects, which that would have been, oh, how long ago would that have been now? Too long ago? 3 years ago? Oil paint lasts a really long time, and it is an extremely expensive art form to get into, but it's kind of one of those art forms that you'll find things are really, like, you won't have to buy heaps all of the time. And I might be saying this as someone who actually paints really inconsistently, so maybe I shouldn't be the one that people are listening to on this. But honestly, it is absolutely one of my favourite art forms. Beyond photography, which is really how I got into this, is photography, because I love taking kind of surreal photos and then messing with them in Photoshop and stuff, and it's really made it so much easier to understand colour. I had a teacher in high school who would tell me about the fact that I needed to focus on, holy moly, I was so focused on painting I got completely distracted and lost my track of thought. Oh yes, she told me that I needed to factor in the fact that I shouldn't be painting what I think I'm seeing, I need to be painting what's actually there. So I took the time, which was kind of insane in hindsight, to pretty much pixel for pixel colour pick an image and try to understand what colours I was actually picking from that image. I am going to have to use solvent. That sucks! Gosh darn child safety things making it impossible for me to open. Oh no! At least I feel like it depends where your art kit is, right? Because my art kit is in a wooden box, as you can see in my mess over here. And I feel like that would be the best colour to blow up in my art kit, because it would be pretty much spot on to the colour that is most of it. But I hate, honestly, it's because yellow ochre is also so important, because so many artists use this in the background. And I was trying to, a lot of my light study was literally just trying to understand what the hell artists were doing by painting the back of their studies, like what underpainting actually is. And I did discover that it mostly is the light. So when I was painting these pretty insane coloured portraits, the issue I was having was the light was taken in a very different, oh, and it's on the floor. It's okay, it hasn't spilled anywhere. I was trying to paint these like portraits and things that I'd taken with blue light with an ochre base. And that's why I started doing these like really artificial lights, to make sure I truly understood exactly what I was doing before I went back to that natural light. Because now that I understand that all of those natural lights truly are just the most accurate paint that they can get, oh my goodness, multi-kits that had a ton of pastels. Yeah, wow. But did you get it off? Because oil paint is, I know people say that you shouldn't fabric paint with oil paint, but it stained my clothing the most, like, consistently. And this is so frightening. I'm always mucking it up when I do it. I always this is why I'm wearing this clothing, right? Because this is an old shirt from Dad, which he like has a bunch of old shirts that he's stained, or he like slimmed down and didn't want to wear anymore, and so gave to me because I wear everything oversized. Sorry for the delay, by the way, because there is a bit of a delay. But because I wear everything oversized, and these are his Qantas pajamas, so thank you to my father for the fit today. I have to wear these because I stain everything. One time I managed to get paint I was wearing very little and I managed to get paint on underwear, and I was like, how did I even manage that? Because I was just sitting here the whole time. But I'll get it all over my hands, and at this progress, like, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, right, with the yellow spotted. But at this stage, I will say, because it's so little, I shouldn't get any of my clothes. But yeah, stained clothing is, oil paint stains so well that it makes me think I should really be doing fabric painting with oil paints. But the internet's always like, no, you shouldn't do that. I need to stop leaning in front of the camera. Yes, I need my reference. It's so hard to use this. Here, I'll show you guys. This is my reference currently. It's so dull, and that's not just the camera. I will need to see it on my phone when it comes up in a second. Here we go. That's the delay for you. So dull. It's so flat. So I'm trying to match these colours, and I'm realising that it's just going to be so much harder to do that. Every time I start adding more to a painting, I always think to myself, am I ruining it? And I never know. I never know if I'm just ruining it. I always just feel super stressed. And I want to be able to stylize things, but the more I do, the more I'm like, oh, I ruined it. Yeah, and I also, with the clothing thing, I also have a habit of wearing my boyfriend's clothes specifically as I go to paint, and then realizing, oh crap, why am I wearing this clothing just before I get something on it? Like, I will tell myself, no, I'll just do this one part, and then immediately I'll get something on the clothing. And really what I should recognize that is my intuition telling me to take the clothing off as fast as possible. But I've just tried to make sure that I'm really wearing solvent, yes. That I'm really wearing the correct things when I'm painting at the start. So these old shirts that my dad used to wear years and years ago, that we started using as smocks when we were like 8 or 9, have become the absolute focus of my painting wardrobe. I do not know what I would do without them. Yes, I'm just pulling the solvent in now and trying to use as little as possible because of how little I have in my, oh my god, in my container that I dropped on the ground. That's where it is. Here you go. This is what we're working with today, and that's all we're working with today, because I'm not putting turpentine in my room. It smells like gasoline, and I don't know why anyone would ever use it. Yes. But I think my love of painting definitely did start in high school, because I got to do paints in year 9. We did these like flower paintings, and at that point it was driving me nuts because I just truly couldn't do it. But painting's always something I've wanted to do, so I just kind of kept coming back to it. And you know, maybe if I do it for long enough, I'll have the same experience with music. But I have so many people around me that are so talented that I don't need to do that. I can just let them have their music thing, and then I can have my art thing next to them. Because I don't need to, you know, I don't need to compare myself at all, but I just don't need to put time into it, because I think that art really is my passion, and it's where I want to focus my energy. So this super dried brush, I'm taking with oil to kind of like blend things out. To get it a little bit blurrier. I think my next painting, though I did get a really good photo of Gianmarco Soresi. I don't know if the chat recognizes that comedian, but if you get bored of this stream and you need something to watch, I absolutely recommend his stuff, because he's so funny. Ironically, I went to a show with my partner, and he was making this joke about what's it called? Night terrors. And then that's how I learned afterwards, when he started talking about it, that I have done to him on many occasions what Jean-Marc was joking about. And the few times that he seemed to wake up completely exhausted, when he thought that I knew about it, and I was completely oblivious. I found out in hindsight that I'd been sitting up in bed that night, and just, when he goes to check on me, saying something like, "It's there," with no other context. Absolutely terrifying. I feel terrible for it. But it wasn't really me. And I don't think that we should blame people for who they are when they sleep. Okay, I think I've hit the point where I put too much oil on. So what we're going to do is we're just going to ignore that, hope for the best, and trudge ahead by pulling in the titanium white again. I'm trying to mix up using the titanium white and the zinc white because I don't want to over pastelize it with a titanium white, which is something I learned, that the thing I was struggling with most with my colours not being vibrant enough until I fixed them, is that my paint colour was pastelizing my artworks. Who knew? I guess a lot of the artists that I researched knew. But yes, I learnt that very quickly, and as soon as I did, and I started using zinc again, oh, I need the zinc. And maybe the ochre. Then I realized it was so much easier to mix colours without them pastelizing. It just made them lighter without kind of decreasing the saturation or making them duller. It was a massive discovery for me, and it might not be that interesting for you guys, but because it's interesting for me and you're sitting here watching this, then it's going to be interesting for you. Oh, the oil is dripping down my painting. It's really, really hard to apply oil like that with a brush because, ooh, it'll just do this thing where it drips, and I will have no idea how much I put on there until it's too far gone. Okay. Hopefully everyone's work weeks are going okay. This week I got the chance to talk to some faculty members of a team that I'm in, which you should go to check out, but I won't dox myself this early into the stream. Who were very nice. It was very fun, but I did kind of get a chance to learn what like adult meetings are like and why stuff maybe doesn't get done, because the amount of times that I was watching the people who are above me who were doing an incredible job, honestly. They were explaining things really well, but the amount of times I got to watch them repeat things to the exact same question, by the way. It wasn't asked in a different way. The exact same question people kept asking over and over again, and they had to just say the exact same answer. I was like, what is going on? Are you guys not listening? I think something I've loved about being in uni, what has been being able to meet all of these like incredibly talented people all of the time, because especially being in a degree, I think when you're younger, it's really normal to get that kind of superiority complex about you where for some reason your friends won't know about something and you're like, well, I must know more than them. And you'll kind of put yourself in this higher place. And you guys might be listening to this and being like, I never did that. And okay, good for you. You know, you're a better person. And that's fine. But I think being in these degrees has allowed me to just listen to all of these people from like design and engineering and all of these things that I can know completely without any hesitation that they know better than me. And I can just listen like really calmly and just be like, yep, you definitely know what you're saying, and I know 100% that I can barely understand it. And I can understand some of the design stuff because I love the design stuff, but being able to hit a point in, I think, both uni and also my brain development where I can recognize the fact that people do know more than me is so freeing. It truly is just so relieving and so freeing. One moment. Yes? Guys, look, I'm being fed. Look how gorgeous this fruit salad is. Truly, what am I thinking? Like, Coles magazine levels of, like, positioning. Genuinely, like, compositional masterpiece. Sorry if you guys hate mouth sounds. I think you guys have volume dials on your devices, so, you know. But I'll probably keep painting because I have a really bad habit of getting everything I eat absolutely everywhere. Almost as bad as my habit to never properly clean my brushes, which is really, mucking with me today. Oh my goodness. And you know what? Once I find you in your home, I will. Look out. Holy moly. I don't think I have the attention span for doing both of these at once. Okay. We leave her there for now. And one of you guys can remind me later that I am supposed to be eating it. Where did I put my... Yes. I'm trying to copy some of these colours, but I'm not. Now I'm looking at them on the page, I am wondering if because of the print, I have dulled it down to really just insane levels. I might need to put some orange in it. And the tough thing about this is the fact that... Oh god, that's going grey. Oh no! Panic and just wipe it off. Good, better. It was never there. See, this is the issue with titanium white. It just makes everything grey. Okay, where's the colour that I actually want? Okay, I think that this... I might need burnt umber. Ah, transparent brown earth. And you might be saying, either through the computer screen or in person to me, that these colours are identical. And to you I would say, no. But yes, so I've been using raw umber. This goes grey, but this one has like a slight red undertone, so it should be slightly more orange and pink when I mix it with white. Should I guess that it's Sapir in the chat? Or is it a different person who's just found me? Because you type exactly like my friend Sapir if you're not Sapir. In which case, it is wonderful to meet you. Sapir is one of the people that I will be soon starting my very, very exciting D&D group with. And I am very excited to do this because my partner and I have been talking about the people we would want to start a new D&D group with for a very long time, because we wanted people that have enough time to be consistent. And if you are one of my friends who was in the other D&D group, you know what you did and you know why you aren't consistent. And it's okay. And this D&D group doesn't mean that I love you any less. It simply means that we're bad at scheduling and we need people who are more organized. Well, it's nice to meet you, stranger. You just talk exactly. Actually, you know what? You can check out Bloopers content because they're amazing and much more talented than I. And which one of these was titanium white? I don't remember. Holy moly. Maybe if I look really close. Oh, I think that the one on the left is Sync, which is the one I need. I'm just gonna hope for the best, and maybe if I can tell, it proves that they are different colours. Well, if you love D&D, you know what you probably are involved in is Dropout. Do we have any Dropout fans in the chat? Because Dropout is some of the most talented people in the world. That and Smosh, and I know that I can equate them because Angela is on both. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm so sorry. I may have just lost the room. And that's funny for anyone who knows what I'm talking about. But yes, I love watching Dropout content. I don't watch enough of it ever because I'm really bad at watching things consistently. I am a YouTube person. I am a Dan and Phil kid. So call out for any Dan and Phil kids in the chat. God, I'm bad at washing my brushes. Example number 2. This has no new paint on it. This is just my terrible habits. Yeah, I have no idea how much of the background you guys are picking up, and I'm so sorry for that. I kind of am happy with these reflections, but I do think I need to blur them out a bit. Every time I get to this point in my artworks, I do look right down next to me and see my makeup brushes, and I think about just using those, and I know that I can't use them ever for makeup again and that they were more expensive than the brushes that I own, but it's so tempting. It truly is so tempting. I think what I'm going to do is use this. This is a tiny brush that was square and I cut into the shape of a filbert. And if you don't know what the shape of a filbert brush is, you are more than welcome to search it up because it's just like, it's this. And if my stream connection is terrible, then you can see this and you can understand why it's this. But it's, oh, I really need to clean these brushes. I've been doing this thing where I don't clean brushes. Instead, I just kind of whip it around in the turpentine. And yeah, well, I'm not going to mix the makeup. It's just the makeup brushes would blend out so perfectly. And then, but the issue is then it would be a paintbrush. And I did this exact same thing when I went through a phase of not wearing makeup much, which clearly I'm no longer in. But I went through a phase of not wearing makeup much, and then I used my beauty blenders for oil pastels. And I don't necessarily regret it, but it did definitely make it a lot harder to do any kind of foundation when I grew up a little more and realized I did actually like some aspects of makeup. I just wasn't doing it right. I just stop putting oil on this because it keeps dripping and I need to use the low toxic solvent. The issue is the solvent has this habit of kind of evaporating, and when you know that it's like a solvent and it's labeled low toxic and also like dangerous, you kind of don't really want to think about it evaporating into the air that you breathe. I'm so sorry if these painting sounds are not very satisfying and very scratchy. That is because of my terrible brush habits. But yes, I took this at a nightclub, if you don't know what the TOF is. and so there were red lights everywhere, which gave me a really good opportunity to kind of paint with red lights. It's very easy to colour match things when you can look exactly to the colour of what it is, because you know that it's not going to be the colour it's supposed to be because it's in this insane light. I do think I blended this out too much, which is a real issue. Yeah, makeup is really quite annoying. But because I like doing the art aspects, it feels like an art thing. Like this makeup that I did today was purely me being like, how many things can I mix together to match my lip to my hair? Which was, because my hair is pretty pink at the moment. If I get in the light, you can see it better. Yeah. Which this ended up being a bright, like hot pink lipstick, a deep, like cherry red lipstick, which is gorgeous on its own, but doesn't really match my hair at all, and then a dark purple eyeshadow mixed together, which might look terrible in person. Actually, it's holding up, it's okay. But on camera, I'm really happy with it. I am really happy with the way that it looks. Yes, I think I will label the stream ASMR. But I think I'm too, you know what? I think I'm too loud for ASMR. And since I really don't like ASMR, I don't want to be someone that perpetrates it into the community. Wow, so many notifications. I might have to pause my little painting stream so I can actually post about it like I'm supposed to be. Yeah, well, painting, it truly is painting your face, but it's also, for me, I've loved having to learn about, especially hitting uni. I went to an all-girls school for a while, right? Which I didn't really fit into at all, and it really mucked with me to be in, but I did truly hit a point where I got to uni and suddenly realised that when I had a little bit more makeup on, men were treating me differently. And I was like, what is that? Where is that? Can I look at that? So I've done it like a bunch of different makeup things, and it was really interesting because I could just wear them to classes that I was getting really annoyed in because I was being ignored, and I would find, oh yes, the food. Oh my god, this book is gonna be so contaminated. These are good pictures. Nectarines. More food shots for the audience. More ASMR for my number one chatter. We're heading into winter where I am, so all of the fruit is just kind of getting worse. And it's getting a lot harder to enjoy fruit. I feel like I can handle fruit when it's been winter for a while, but once it hits that point where it's like I've gotten used to really good fruit, and then I have to once again accept the fact that the fruit is going to be bad. It's really not an experience I enjoy. Sorry about that. But yes. Hopefully everyone's enjoying joining the stream and enjoying watching, because obviously it won't be lasting long as soon as I get that bubonic plague from that fork. Which I've been kindly advised of. Part of why I'm streaming is because of the fact that I have so much on, and I know that if I just get a text message from someone, like earlier I got a text message from someone asking for help with a poster, because as much shit as they give me about my posters, they do actually appreciate my opinion. You know who you are if you're watching this later. And it forces me to actually stop and not do too much work. So it means that I'm a lot healthier about all of this. And I'm making sure that I'm actually protecting my health a bit. I have a Discord that I'm going to make so that I can sit in the calls and then people can join and chat. Which will help me remember that I'm streaming, because that's going to be an issue down the line. But for now, just remembering to talk is a really good reminder that I'm streaming. Now, these paints, right? I usually use Art Spectrum. These are my Art Spectrum paints. These are my Reeves paints, because I went to this art shop, which is amazing, and I got to pick a bunch of paints. But when I went to buy Payne's Grey, which I've been using in these tiny paints over here, which is super cheap, they'd run out in actually every single size. In every size, the super expensive one and the really tiny ones, they just didn't have any Payne's Grey, which I get because it's a good color. It's like a kind of a black with a bit of very like navy blue black almost, so it's really easy to mix with. It's really good for shadows. But I had to get this one, and I have usually used Art Spectrum because it just smells so much less. And that's a real thing with paint, is that, I mean, I'm slightly desensitized to it now, but it's always going to smell kind of awful. But these, why did I sniff it? Why did I do that? These are really, like, really, really strong. And you know what? Your fiance that reminds you to eat and sleep, that's my boyfriend currently. We've been together for 4 years, and we're both probably slightly too young in the current climate to move out. It doesn't really make heaps of sense, so that's kind of where we are. But he absolutely reminds me to eat and sleep all the time. So much so that when I'm supposed to go to his house and I end up not going to his house, I will just neglect my needs, because it's like my brain switches off. Which, I mean, it doesn't take much for me. It's probably why I can just talk so much, but I don't know. I love painting so much. It's so peaceful. I'm gonna have to mix right into that now. I keep putting too many things on, and it's really mucking with my process. This color, right? Absolutely gorgeous. If you look at this sticker, which I keep thinking is a different color, it's so ugly. But when you actually look at the paint, it's like a blood red, which is absolutely gorgeous. So when you see me picking up this paint tube and being like, where the hell did that color come from? This is Spectrum Crimson. And I highly recommend, if you're looking to get into kind of any art form or oil paint, something I love about this is it is almost like my hair color, which I did myself, by the way, for anyone wondering. My artistic prowess does extend to being overconfident in every form beyond oil paint. And I think overconfidence is really all you need in life, because if you're overconfident, at the end of the day, someone else is going to believe that you can do it, and they're going to give you that opportunity you shouldn't have. I have no idea how long I'll stream for tonight. Yes, I do digital art. I do more for design. I've been using Affinity because it's free and you can use vectors and pixel layers together, which is crazy, because I've been trying to use Photoshop for my school subscription, and truly, I can do it. It just drives me nuts. And I think what I really struggle with digital art is if you hit a point where you're like, God, I just don't know how to make this shape, you have to work out how to do it. Whereas for me, if I'm like, Oh god, how do I fix that? I can just use a random tool that I find in my stuff, which is why it's part of the reason that I highly respect digital artists, because it is absolutely, even if you can undo stuff, one of the hardest art forms to learn, because you don't have that feedback and you don't have the connection with things. Like it truly is just a different medium, just an entirely different medium, and everyone will be like, yeah, well, if you do digital art, you can't do this traditional art form, and it's like, yeah, but I can do this traditional oil painting art form, and I can't do digital art. They're different things. You know, they're completely different experiences. I can do a couple sketches, but I can't do the layering, the, you know, all, like, even the AI robots that everyone thinks are gonna take over, even though they're fucking insane, can't match the level of shading that these artists are doing. But yes, I definitely do pull that move, deleting stuff. I pull that move very often, but because I was doing it too often, I made a rule for myself that instead of pulling that move, what I have to do is make the layer invisible and just start a new one. Because I truly, there was no reason for me to be deleting digital artworks. I have some friends that talk about the fact that they will just paint over canvases if they're just like, they don't care about that artwork, they don't have like emotional sentiment. I think there is an actual artist that talks about the same thing. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely, like, you can see over here, this is like a completely unfinished painting. I did do it on a date. It is like a backyard, but it's a completely unfinished painting, and I don't want to paint over that because I put effort into it. And I think the people that say that are actually crazy. I keep falling into this trap where I feel the need to, wow, these colours are terrible, fill this in differently, and then I fall into this trap of doing it in a way that I didn't intend. Okay, I'm gonna need to pull that. Where was the colour I wanted? Transparent brown earth. Oh, was it here? There's so much paint. I don't know if you can see from where you are. If I move like this, there's so much paint on my little board here that I have zero idea which of it is new or not. So I will spend, when I'm absent-minded, when I'm not focusing, I will spend like 20 minutes trying to find which little tiny paint spot is the one I just put down. You know, and the ADHD definitely doesn't help, and I know that, but how am I going to match that colour? What is this colour? I've been thinking about getting a bunch of blacks, the Mars black and stuff. I have these little ones, because this is supposedly ivory black, but it has a brown undertone, and we both know, because you definitely know, because you do so much traditional art as a viewer, that ivory black is just not, it goes to grey, and that black going to brown is pretty crazy. And maybe I'm just using, oh my god, I found it. I found the splotch I was looking for. Wow. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to mix black into that. Oh, actually, I'm gonna mix the grey into it because it should slightly cancel out the red in the way that I want. Yes, there we go. What I'm trying to do, see this really dull print, is this kind of dark part at the back of the glass. I'm trying to, sorry, I move so much. I'm trying to capture that more in the painting so it kind of looks like you're seeing through it instead of looking like you're just kind of participating in it. But yes, to the viewer's point, it is absolutely so terrifying when people just let their artworks go to die. But, I mean, you are sitting there and deleting digital artwork, so I don't know, there's something more visceral about painting over something than deleting a digital artwork, even though digital artworks generally take so much longer. I think the best thing about getting a tablet, which a friend gave me a tablet when because he's an animator, he kind of just updated his and he was like, yeah, I'm not using it, you can have it. But mine just stopped working, so I'm gonna have to get a new one. yeah, I mean, the imagination of me tapping stuff and still going is absolutely the most accurate thing I've seen all day. Because I just did that 3 times. Holy moly. Okay, I'm gonna mix. So I'm mixing right now. I'm mixing Payne's Grey. You know what I need? I need a second camera shot of just this tiny area where I'm mixing paints. That would be really good. That'd be really smart down the line if I actually stream again. But yeah, I have a lot of paints that I like. I have a lot of paintings that I would just paint over. I would think about painting over, but these people talk about paintings that they finished and spent hours on it, and then they'll just be like, I want to do something else now, and delete it functionally from the earth. And I'm like, I don't care if you didn't like it. That's crazy. Where's your portfolio going? I really love using acrylic paint brushes on oil paintings, and I know that there's probably a reason why I shouldn't. And I do have really cheap, but I do have oil brushes. I really need to get some actual ones, but that's okay. I'm thinking at the moment that I will be streaming consistently on Thursdays because it is a free day between all of like my blocks of things. And I think it's really important that I don't lose painting this semester because it's so easy to just forget all of these things that are important to you when you have to study. And I'm not even doing art, like I definitely thought about going into art, but I'm the type of person that needs structure. And I think the corporate world really suit a part of me. Not this part, not this streaming part, but there definitely is a part of me the corporate world would suit. Wow, that's really dark. The issue with what I'm doing right now is because I'm choosing to just go in with all of these random colors to make it darker, is as soon as I put the white back over it, it's just gonna go grey and muddy, and this is what I've been doing for months. And so this painting, right, it is to give to my grandparents. I sent them a bunch of images and I was like, which one do you like most, without kind of saying that I was going to give them a painting because I didn't want to set up that expectation for myself. And I didn't even finish it by the time I saw them. But it is for my grandparents. And yes, but if I stop streaming after today, the plague did get me. Everyone be aware of that. I need to finish my points before I look at the chat because I have a real issue where I just like get lost in what I'm saying. It's gone. Every thought I've ever had is gone. I do think that I want to do some paintings for some commissions and things, and I think streaming would be a great way to both get my art out there and also allow people to see their commissions as I paint them, because if I was someone who was getting a commission, the biggest thing I'm going to be scared of is most definitely not knowing how that painting is looking, and I don't want to ask the artist because I know that it's a process and I know that it's going to take forever. But if I can see their process in a bunch of their streams or like earlier, or I can look at what they're doing now and be like, oh wow, that's really dark. What am I doing? Terrible. Okay, we're going back in with the low toxic solvent. Is that the oil? 50% sure what's in both of these glasses. I really need to make sure that I'm specifying. Okay, that's thinning it out. That must be the low toxic solvent. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Very good. This is very good. I had the perfect scratches before, and I've just less is more, right? Isn't that what they say? And then I keep adding more. That's fine. I think I'm just going to hit a point where because I'm no longer looking at my reference, I'm just going to start stylizing it. And that's how I'm going to be a really, really stylized artist. Oh, yes. My grandparents. Yes. So they picked the painting that they liked, and then I go to show I call my grandparents Nanny and Pappy because they're French. I don't know, that might not be the reason. That's what I'm gonna say is the reason. And my grandfather, who has a very artistically talented family, he always says he isn't artistically talented, but everything I've seen him do, I've been impressed by. Starts critiquing it as if I'm showing him, like, this artwork I want feedback on, and I was like, no, I'm giving this to you. And I did say it. I did preface with that. I wasn't like doing the thing where I forced him to give me a response and then was like, what do you think of it? No, I wasn't doing that at all. I was 100% being like, I'm giving this to you. But he's hard of hearing, and I can't even be mad about that because I'm also hard of hearing. Oh, this red is strong, but that's okay. I kind of like the colors it's giving. Yes, I'm thinking if I give like more of a splotchy vibe in here, it'll kind of give off that colored vibes. And I know it's going to change colors through like textured glass vibes. I know it's going to change what the glass is supposed to look like, but I think it looks cooler, and so I'm going to make that as an artistic choice. But yes, I made them pick the picture, and they started critiquing it like it was like my photography work, and I was like, oh, I really hope they don't think that it's that, because these are such low quality pictures, and I really truly do not want to believe that they think this is the standard of the pictures I take. I've been working with an artist who is one of my close friends, that I will be, as soon as I start doing his debut stuff, plugging in every single stream, because he's so incredibly talented, and I need him to get a lot of views very quickly so that he actually posts this stuff and I can listen to it. Because I can't keep waiting to put Passenger on my playlist to You Know Who You Are. But yes, it's, oh, that's orange. Yes, but so we've been talking about maybe doing oil paintings for those, and then we shifted towards doing photography because these paintings just take so long. Like, it truly doesn't matter how simple I go, it's gonna take weeks to dry regardless. Okay, this is me stylizing my art, and the fact that it looks like kind of bloody fingerprints is what it's something we're gonna ignore. We're gonna choose to ignore that. I need black. Do I need black? I think I might need raw umber. That's what I need. Okay. This is my very dark brown, which is actually, raw umber is actually much closer to what this like super cheap black claims it is. But yeah, acrylic paints and paintbrushes are just so smooth. They apply everything so smoothly. And I mean, because I did actually do research about oil paints and I started to try and use specifically oil brushes, I was able to really learn the difference between them, because acrylic paint truly does flatten. Like, acrylic paint brushes really are for flattening things. Like, they're not for kind of soaking up oil in the brush. It's just for applying stuff on top. Well, that's mixing in weirder than I wanted it to. I think we're going to go down here, and we're just going to do some orange stuff down here, because I know that I am super happy with this. What I'm doing now is I'm just putting in like some of the table scratches from like below here, because as the light kind of reflects off of the candle, you are going to get some of these like dark parts, because it is like a bar. There were so many scratches everywhere. You are going to get these dark parts that just kind of don't get those reflections in between. And so you can see that in my teeny tiny reference picture. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these like dark little spots so I can distract myself from whatever is going on up there. And what I'm going to try, if I can get this off, is using these tiny brushes. And so these tiny brushes that you've been seeing me use, I got at Kmart. And they're nail brushes, and I saw them and I was like, that'll be perfect for my teeny tiny lines. Wow, that's so orange. We're gonna go in with the brush I was mixing with before. Oh, it's here. I'm gonna just try and blend that out so I'm happier with it again. I think art forms like this that are slow drying are definitely better for me, but because I have no time limit, I truly do work to fuck up the pieces. And maybe my art style is just gonna be like, more is more. But I do think I have developed a slight art style. Evocative of me. But I don't know. Friends tell me I have. But I do think that they lie. And I think that it's okay that they lie because that means that they care about me. But it makes it really hard to kind of have an opinion that gives me a real insight into what I'm doing. Okay, now we're going to pull this white in. I think this is the zinc white that I'm going in with now. And I'm going to try and use it to create those like scratches. That is a tiny white line outside the border that I didn't want to exist there, but does now. And I'm trying to pull the white line up to here. The issue with having this paint all on is it kind of just smears, like it doesn't fall into that really strong lines like we had before. So maybe this necessitates another stream, and that's going to be great for you guys. But for now, it's really interrupting my flow. Okay. Oh, well, that could have made a much bigger mess. I'm just gonna try and get a lot of this like red off on my little paper here. And I'm going to try and use this white to go around these edges of the brown to really like enunciate the highlights. And I know that that's the wrong word, but it's what that word means now. To make it really feel like there are kind of those raised edges that scratches usually have. I think that that'll be slightly more accurate and it'll make it look more realistic, hopefully. The hard thing about this is that because of the color effect, it doesn't really look like scratches anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do like what I like to call a little jiggle. I'm going to do a little jiggle where I just kind of blend it out a bit, except for this dark one down here, because I know that my reference has a couple very dark scratches. And I'm just going to use that to try and... Oh, that was white. Oh, whoops. I'm going to use it to try and give it some detail. It's hitting about 9 p.m. now. So it's getting a little darker outside. Oh, it's dark out there. I should close those blinds at some point. But, so we'll have to eat. Actually, I will have to feed myself for that real health focus. But maybe I'll just try to work towards becoming that affiliated partner where I, you know, stream once a week and get to talk to a bunch of strangers online about what I've been up to. If you want to follow my Instagram, I have an Instagram called Painless Pursuit, where I will in future be posting announcements for things, and I will also put up the Discord once I get around to making it. So for the people in here right now, you'll be the first people to join the Discord if you choose, which is very fun. It's just a really nice chance to kind of de-stress and deconnect with all of the things that I have kind of in my own life, because it doesn't matter when I'm painting, and I can't stop painting if I'm actively streaming. Exactly, very fancy. It's such a weird feeling streaming like this, but it is really fun because it makes me feel productive, and it gives me that ability to, I need to stop knocking this easel, disconnect from all of the things, because I know that if I want to really do this, then I can't just go and start doing work on all of these marketing projects that I have to do as a marketing student. Though I do have a class at, what day is it today? Thursday, 10 a.m. tomorrow, that I have to complete the content for, so that'll be an issue for my future self. Yes, absolutely. Yes, because if you access my Instagram, which has very little followers at the moment because I haven't been posting really at all other than the small marketing things I've been doing, then you're more than welcome to just DM me your own art projects, and then maybe at some time in the future we could collaborate on the stream. Because it'd be much easier to uphold this level of conversation with someone to talk to. And an art stream with both digital and traditional is quite possibly something that doesn't exist, though Twitch is massive, so everything probably exists. I think I'm going to pull some of my burnt umber, or raw umber, sorry, and then try and put these details a little darker so they're more like shadows than... Yeah, there we go. I think it does need the blue, so we're going to use Payne's Grey. I think Payne's Grey or Crimson. Probably Crimson. Crimson is probably my favourite paint colour right now, because I can absolutely talk about all of the ones I want. Like, if you are so inclined to search up Art Spectrum paints, there's levels to it, right? So most of what I have is Series 1. I think I might have one Series 3 paint. Let me see. Yeah, one Series 3 paint. Yeah, but learning is part of the process, you know? It's better content if we can, you know, see things. Plus, I can give you tips if you want, because I love teaching people things, as long as I don't come across as condescending. Because that's devastating if I ever come across like that. But it's really nice to talk to people about art, because especially it being something that isn't necessarily career driven, but I put so much of my own time into, really, really means that it feels worth something when I can actually use it to help other people and help them develop their art style, because art is such a personal thing. So you really don't want to offer anyone any advice unless they specifically ask for it. Wow. Yeah. I'm really unsure about these shadows. Where did I lose my reference? It's down there. Okay. I think that they're okay. What do we think, chat? Are the shadows okay? Or are they looking is it kind of looking bird poopy? Because I'm seeing bird poop, and I might be, like, at what point do we look at an art piece for too long and we lose all concepts of reality? You know, honestly, I think a lot sooner than where I'm at now. Because I've been doing this for months now, and it's not like I've been working on it for months. It's like I'm so inconsistent that I've been doing it for months. But I think the really good thing about working with people, right, who don't have as much experience in an art form as you do, means that you can learn things, like little tricks or hacks that they've taught themselves. We're just going to smear this because I don't care about art rules. You can learn little tricks and hacks that they've taught myself. Like, I had a friend that was doing embroidery, and I just happened to do an embroidery project around the time, and I realized that if you used like double-sided tape, it made the process a lot faster. And they got to kind of hear that from me and be like, all right, you know, I'll try it out. I don't think it's going to be what I want to do for like the environment, but it's just really fun to share like different things. And as an artist who doesn't have a lot of time to put into art, but's been working on getting here for years, for me, it really feels like I can kind of look at people and be like, you know, I can remember the progress that I made and the struggles that I had when I was a lot earlier in my... Yes, I love smearing things with my fingers. That's another reason why I can't do digital art. But when I was a lot earlier in my art stages, it felt really hard to ever get to the point that I was ever making anything like this. So my first oil painting was just one color, I think. Well, technically, I think I used white, and then you can see it's this color. It was this color and my white, which I've lost that tube, but I used this exact tube, which is a gorgeous color, which they've now, the closest now, they've turned into a Series 3 color, which is majorly suspicious because this is, Series 3 is like, as it expands, it gets way more expensive. Like one of the colors that I want in, for the, like a tube like this is AUD like 65 bucks, almost, I think it's 70 bucks. And I was like, that's crazy. I desperately want it and I will spend the money, but that's crazy. And I do understand that it's the pigments, and that red pigments, especially because this is a magenta color that I want, are really hard to get, like, because they're more expensive. But I do think at a certain point Art Spectrum is ripping me off, and they're able to do that because the oil that they use as the binder smells less, I guess. Yeah, okay, we're getting that pink in a bit. Yeah, but this crimson, it's a bit pinker when I pull it out, and I do love it. It is really gorgeous. But it's like, because it's quite bright. It's quite a bright, like, almost more of a red than a crimson. And that's the thing with, like, Reeves, it's a little cheaper, so that there's slightly less pigment to them. But even as I mix this in, you can see it's like, it's pink. It's like a nice pink. Well, it's not like pink. It's color theory. Obviously, it's not pink usually, but it is pink on this very red piece. But, yeah. Now I'm looking at it, I'm wondering if maybe I accidentally, subconsciously infected myself with the colors of this painting, and that's why I dyed my hair this color. But I love my hair color at the moment, so I'm not upset with it. I'm thinking the next time I stream, I will get myself together and actually create some starting soon pages, which now that I've actually set up a stream, I understand why, because you have to start the stream before you do literally anything in Twitch, which is poor design UI wise. I mean, I'm not talking bad about this company, but it does make it a lot harder to kind of set things up. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, and then I just turned off my camera and worked it out. So I'm gonna make a starting soon thing, and maybe I'll just use this painting as my background and make it a really lazy starting soon, and then a really super lazy kind of transition thing. Ooh, that's an interesting line. I'm feeling like I'm hitting the point where I've mixed too many colours together again, and I am gonna have to go over it. But it does feel like a good underlayer for me. Yeah. I think if I let it, well, because the good thing about streaming once a week, right, is it forces me to paint, but it also forces me to wait a week until I paint again. Instead of trying to do this tomorrow night when we both, like, everyone on the planet knows that this won't be dry tomorrow night because it's oil paint. And oil paint is, everyone says it's really hard to work with, but I think it's way easier because if you muck up, you can literally just swipe it off like this. Woo! Sorry, my art setup is really terrible because what I've done is I made it so the easel isn't functioning properly, because the easel on its own is actually supposed to be a lot higher up, but I wanted this right at my eye level so I could sit down on my tiny little stool that I'm sitting with, and it meant that I truly just had to sacrifice the functionality of it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to grab my raw umber again, and I'm finding that when I mix this raw umber into crimson, I really am getting the colour I want. Yeah, there we go. That's gorgeous. I can't believe I'm here because I was supposed to just be adding the white details today, and I fell back into this rabbit hole of using any other colours. It's so easy to do. It's simply so easy to do. And you know what? I don't think there's any issues with dino themed. I don't think there's any issues with dino themed stuff. I think that's so much fun. Oh, you know what? You know what that makes me think of? I saw this ad for it. I still haven't even looked for it, but there's this David Attenborough like documentary type, but it's CGI and of dinosaurs, and it looked so cool. And it's so silly, but it looked so unbelievably cool. And I was like, ooh, I need to watch that. I think it's on Netflix, but I don't know if it's out yet, and I didn't want to put in the effort to find it and then realize that it wasn't out yet. Because it's just so frustrating me. Like, oh my god, I should watch that show. Oh my god, I want to watch that show. And then it's like out in 2027, November, maybe. Okay, I'm going to pull my Payne's Grey and try and mix it in here to offset that orange, because that's causing me issues. Yeah, there we go. That's going a bit more black there. And then I'm going to pull the crimson back in. Yeah, I've thought about doing Minecraft, but then I hit a point where Minecraft was making me nauseous again, and I was like, it's just so much effort to set up game streaming because it's so frightening at the idea of accidentally streaming like a message someone sends you that's like really important. And I'm so terrible with managing my notifications that I need to actually be able to see it coming up anyway. Otherwise I'll forget that someone's texted me. Wow, I don't. It's getting muddy now. I think I've hit a wall a bit, so I'm gonna stop with that, even though I'm probably lying. And I'm gonna do this little line again because I really like it. I'm losing the differentiation again. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait and stop and be reasonable and be an adult, and then I'm going to pull my zinc through with a low toxic solvent. I'm going to do a glaze. And that's probably what's going to happen next week, because it's hit 9/11 now. Oh, whoops. It's hit 9:12 p.m. now, and that means that it's getting harder and harder to stay focused, because I've been talking for almost 2 hours, which for a first stream I think is pretty good. I could definitely do better, but for a first stream I think that's pretty great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and hold myself back, because if I institute Minecraft rules, right, with my paintings, and I say, no, you're not allowed to do anything while not on stream, then what'll happen is every time I paint, I'll be actively talking about what I'm doing, and I won't make really stupid impulse decisions. Well, I won't make as many really stupid impulse decisions. Ooh, I need this line to be cleaner. Yes. And hopefully, I'm just going to do this because I need the middle to be like more centered. Yes! Okay, that's good. That's what I want my painting to look like. I think if I do that white glaze, I'll be really happy with it. And there's definitely supposed to be a glow here, but I mean, I just keep redoing this and this again and again because I'm not happy with it. But I love the background, like the details here. This is all dry because I've done this weeks ago. But I really, you know what I'll do for you guys is I'll pull this up because the edges aren't wet. And I'll show you what it actually looks like without the reflection. Here you go. This is it. Obviously, there's still some reflection because it's not varnished, but if I can get it the best for the angle that you need. Straight? Cool. This is what it looks like at the moment. It definitely has some like darks in it, so if I pull it into the light, you can see kind of the details of it all. Wow, the camera's trying to adjust and doing a real poor job of it, so I'm just going to keep my face here. Can we focus? Can we focus? Can we focus? I really need a camera that's manual because this drives me nuts. But yeah, you can see the colors changing a bunch, but if you try and use the background for reference, it is quite dark in here. And I am really happy with how this is turning out. I think it looks like a glass, right? From far away at least. Because you get up too close and then suddenly it looks bad. Oh my god, have I been painting at an angle? Yikes. 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 Okay, so what my rule is, right, every time I paint is I have to walk back, which you won't see me while I do this, but I have to walk back and I have to stare at it from a distance and I have to be like, am I happy with this? Do I need to change it? And I really think at this point, other than these little black spots which look like nothing, I think they need to be detailed again without the oil underneath them because it's just kind of smudging together. If I glaze this, I think I'll be really happy with it because it does actually look like a glass. Yeah, really cool. Really, really cool. Okay, well then, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys for today because I need to eat and I need to service my body because when I paint for too long, my back starts to hurt because my posture is terrible. So, thank you to everyone who's made it into my chat today, and I hope that you have a wonderful night, and most possibly, I will see you around 6 or 7 p.m. AEST next Thursday. What is that in PST time? I think 5 p.m. is like 12. So really early in the morning. But that's what Australia is for you. So thank you to everyone who's joined my chat. I hope you've had a really wonderful time, and I hope that you have a great night or afternoon or morning wherever you are. 6:16 a.m. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Wow, go to bed. I was up kind of early this morning, but I really didn't want to be. And then I just went back to bed, so I just didn't process it. Sometimes it's just, I get to be like a chronic pain girly, so sometimes that just means that I get to wake up in that position in pain. And then I just took a Panadol this morning because sometimes you don't want to deal with it. It's really just headaches, but yeah, I'm gonna close my blinds because all my neighbors can see me with through like the shears with the lights on. and they can judge me, and I don't like that. I only like being judged by strangers on Twitch. So I will close my blinds, and I hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you around next week on Thursday, probably in the evening and very early morning for some of you. Maybe I will do it even later. Who knows? Maybe I'll be on later tonight. You should follow my Instagram, which is Painless Pursuit. Yes, Painless Pursuit. And then you should follow my Twitch so that you get notifications about what I'm doing. Lovely evening to you all, and I hope to see you next time if there is one.